It's Thursday, May 14th, and with just a couple of days left in our school year, I wanted to take a few minutes to speak to those of you who are parents and grandparents and hopefully address some of the questions you might have, some important reminders for you about the end of this year, and also looking ahead to next year as well. But before I do that, can we turn our attention for just a moment to the important truth in God's Word found in Psalm 139:16? It's been our theme verse for this year, and I think it's really a good reminder for us now. The changes, cancellations, the disappointments of the way this year is turning out, and the uncertainty that we're facing, and the range of emotions that can cause in all of us. Psalm 139:16 says this: Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. I am really encouraged and take hope in the fact that even though it surprises me and even though it's disappointing for me, that God has it all mapped out. His purposes haven't changed, He hasn't changed, and we can trust in Him. And I encourage each and every one of us to do that. Well, as we do finish the year, I invited our students earlier this week, and I want to invite you as well to reach out as questions arise about anything we're communicating or anything you're uncertain about. We want to be available to help you. Certainly, it's a different end to the year for us. One of those differences this year is in our elementary. I've spoken with our elementary teachers, and they don't really feel comfortable, and I don't feel comfortable either asking them to evaluate your child in the fourth quarter on behavioral traits. And so rather than listing an E, a G, an S, an N for excellent, good, and so on, we're going to invite you into that process. And if you want to sit with your child, talk through the areas where you see tremendous growth and areas for opportunity for growth, you're welcome to do that. You can reach out to your child's teacher, and they have more information about how you can use that portion of the report card. But we're not going to require that. That's simply an opportunity that we're going to extend to you if you have a child enrolled in elementary. Next Wednesday, just a couple of things about pickup and drop off. We're going to work to make that as efficient as possible. A reminder that in the morning, we've reserved time for elementary, alphabetically by last name. In the afternoon, we've reserved time for our junior high and high school students. And so as a part of that, we had talked about using the front circle drive. We have made some adjustments to that plan. We are going to be using a different part of our driveway, different traffic flow as well. Variety of reasons for doing that, including wanting to have tables on pavement rather than having them off in the grass, and also hopefully be easier to accommodate more vehicles. So do look for a written version of that plan for pickup and drop off in today's edition of the Spark. We encourage you to look at that, to follow that, and again, to reach out if you have questions. We'll have a bag with your child's name on it, with their awards and personal belongings. We would ask that you also have a bag with textbooks. By the way, we've included a list of the textbooks that you should have available and be able to return to us next week. Of course, that's also a time to return laptops and other items that might belong to the school as well. Let's talk a little bit about some other things happening next week, some really important things. Kindergarten graduation. You may have not heard me mention that Monday afternoon at 3:30, we're going to host a live Zoom call where we conduct a brief ceremony to celebrate our kindergartners and their accomplishments in moving on to their second year at Shekinah and into our first grade program. Really excited for that. Again, that's Monday afternoon at 3:30. We'll be sure to include a link and share it with you if you would like to join us and help celebrate our kindergarten students. For our high school seniors who are getting ready to finish, their virtual graduation ceremony will be uploaded on Saturday at 4 o'clock. That's the plan. There will be a lot of recording of different elements of what is a traditional Shekinah graduation. And Thursday is going to be a big day for that. There may be some recording on Wednesday evening, late afternoon as well. Senior parents, be looking for separate communication. Late last night, we did get the approval we were working for from the health department to be able to use and do some things, provided that we follow some guidelines. So looking forward to sharing more details with you in the very near future. I'm hoping we can do that yet today, if at all possible. Other things that I want to make you aware of, our junior class is working on treating our seniors. Now, I've been told I'm not supposed to share all the details, but because I know the plan, I can tell you that if they rang my doorbell, I'd want to answer because I'm excited about what the juniors are doing to celebrate our seniors, even though we've had to walk through the disappointment of canceling the junior senior banquet. And as a part of that, they've also been involved in talking about ideas as restrictions lift. Now, this is for everyone. This is, if you're a part of the Shekinah family, be aware that as restrictions lift, when it's permitted, we really want to invite the school family to come together and our seniors and their families as well to celebrate. That'll be pending interest from our seniors and their families. It'll also depend, of course, on when those restrictions lift. But I just want you to know there's already conversation going on about what that could look like, and some pretty neat ideas, I think, for that. Now, I have not talked about summer. There is still some uncertainty about our summer schedule. I'll just tell you this for now. Our school building does remain closed. Parents, I do need your help with this. The OHSAA has asked us to follow this, the Ohio Department of Education as well. Our school building remains closed. That does include our weight facilities. It includes our baseball field. It includes all aspects of the school facilities. And until we make an announcement that it's open, if you could just help us in reminding those you know to not look at using that, because obviously we want to make sure we're in compliance. The OHSAA actually could ultimately fine someone for not being in compliance. And of course, that's not a position we want to put ourselves in. What about next year? Well, I'll turn our eyes for just a second to next year. But before I do that, let me just encourage you again to read today's Spark, because a lot of the end of year activities, voting for our Shining Star Award and some other things are in today's edition of the Spark. Parents, you might be wondering about tuition. A very valid question. I first want to tell you that we're monitoring our expenses for this year, and to my surprise, and actually to our school treasurer's surprise, our expenses are not dropping the way you would think when you're out of the building. We are going to have to wait until the end of May to really evaluate the final figure, but some of the things we still have to pay for, even though we're not in the building. The internet, the phone system, some things like that. Now, of course, there are things like the school vans that didn't go on field trips. There are some savings there. But then we've also had some increased expenses. The license that we had to purchase for Zoom, an organizational license for schools, it was a 12-month license. They didn't have a shorter option. And so that was not in our budget. And so we're going to look at that final figure. But one of the things we've done, even though we're still trying to see how things are going to turn out for this year, because a vast majority of our budget is staff salaries. And obviously our teachers have been working twice as hard. We want to fulfill our commitment to them. We are looking ahead to next year and have made the proactive decision to do something that normally we wouldn't do. In fact, we had already approved a tuition increase originally, and in light of COVID and the school building closure and the uncertainties, our board has issued a tuition freeze for the 2020-2021 school year. So a tuition freeze will be in place for all grade levels, and it's our way of saying to you, listen, we might have to do extra fundraising next year to cover everything. We don't know what we don't know, but we know that you're also facing uncertainty, and so we're going to freeze tuition for next year. There's one other decision our board has made. We're going to make it more attractive for individuals in the middle of this pandemic and uncertainty to consider our kindergarten. We are decreasing the tuition for kindergarten to 50% of what it would otherwise be for the 2020-2021 school year. So if you have a child that is in kindergarten or eligible, we would encourage you to consider our kindergarten program. Maybe you have a neighbor or friend at church. Encourage them to consider our kindergarten program as well. Now, I want to remind all of you that our variable rate tuition program still is available to you if you've been experiencing uncertainty, job change, and you're concerned about remaining with us, but you have the desire to do so, and we hope you will. Please do reach out to us about applying for variable rate tuition for next school year, because again, while we want to maintain our obligation to our teachers so that we can have our school, we also understand you're walking through this as well. Last but not least today, uh, we will be sending out an end of year survey. The end of the fourth quarter is a time when students get their report cards. It's only fair that we give you an opportunity to evaluate how the school year has gone from your perspective as a parent. So I would just ask for your honest feedback on that. We're well aware there's areas we need to keep growing, and there's areas that have gone better than we hoped in this whole process. And so do be looking for that survey, and we would ask and invite every family to be a part of that. And again, as other questions arise, let us know. We'd be happy to help. God bless, and thanks for your time.